It's Wednesday, July 15th. In the headlines, Kingston and St. Andrew Municipal Corporation collects nearly $4 million through Signage compliance drive. In business news, Dolphin Cove sold to new majority shareholder. Regionally, Barbados' Prime Minister, Mia Mottley, urges hotels to support local businesses. And in sports, Jamaican trio finished second at Memorial Hungarian Athletics Grand Prix. This is the news on PBC Jamaica. I'm Simone Absalom Gale. The Kingston and St. Andrew Municipal Corporation, KSAMC, has collected nearly $4 million in signage fees since the launch of its signage compliance outreach program earlier this year. Speaking at Tuesday's monthly council meeting, Deputy Mayor Lorraine Dobson said compliance has increased from 9% to 53%. Councillor Dobson attributes the improvement to the corporation's direct engagement strategy, under which compliance officers visit commercial areas to educate business owners, explain legal requirements, assist with applications, and help regularize signage. The program began with a 3-month regularization campaign from January to March, allowing businesses to settle outstanding signage fees at a reduced rate while becoming compliant. Since then, the KSAMC has moved into the enforcement phase, removing unauthorized signs and billboards across the municipality. The government is moving to strengthen the protection of Jamaica's national records, with plans to develop a secure, centralized system for storing the country's most important historical and official documents. Permanent Secretary in the Office of the Prime Minister, Rocky Mead, made the disclosure following a meeting at the OPM on Tuesday.
Right now, our records are stored in a colonial building that is in a poor state of repair, and we're taking a great risk here at having our heritage and records preserved in such a challenged infrastructure.
He said Jamaica's national records, including legislation, historical documents, and other important artifacts, are currently stored at multiple locations across the island. He noted that Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness wants an inclusive solution that will ensure the country's records are properly preserved and protected.
It's not only the Office of the Prime Minister, NERA, that has records to store, but the Jamaica Archives and Records Division, all of government with records to store. So we're looking at a state-of-the-art complex designed to be resilient, that can withstand any challenges we have and keep our records and our heritage intact.
The issue formed part of wider discussions on projects being considered under the National Reconstruction and Resilience Authority, NARA. The Permanent Secretary said the government is examining options to safeguard the nation's documentary heritage as part of its broader resilience and development agenda.
I think this was a very good exercise to get us to look at how to really build resilience, not just for recovery from Melissa, but to learn the lessons and take us forward in the future.
Members of Parliament paid tribute to former Cabinet Minister, Member of Parliament and Mayor of Mandeville, Dean Peart, during a sitting of the House of Representatives on Tuesday. Here's a look at some of the remarks made.
I can never recall hearing Dean Peart on a political platform or in this parliament speaking anything derogatory about any member of any member. He was respectful, Madam Speaker.
Deanie Peart, a son of Manchester, a son of a prominent and successful political family, son of Ernest Peart, former MP, brother of Michael Peart, former MP, former Speaker of this House. Dean Peart was a colorful politician. He was really a unique personality.
Members also paid tribute to former President of the Senate and former Cabinet Minister Oswald Harding and former Member of Parliament for St. James West Central, Arthur Nelson.
I had the privilege of starting my political activism in the constituency ran for the first time East Road St. Andrew back in the 1976 general election. I met Ozzy then, but his entry into politics was preceded by a long career in the public service. For more than 3 decades, he devoted his talents to the service of this honorable parliament and to the people of Jamaica. While many public figures are remembered for the offices they held or the political contests they fought, Dr. Harding will be remembered for something far more enduring, his steadfast commitment to the rule of law, constitutional government, and the dignity of Parliament itself.
I hail him not because he wore a crown, but because he wore the confidence of his people with dignity. Kings are remembered for the kingdoms they built. Arthur Nelson should be remembered for the communities he strengthened. For those of us who represent St. James, Arthur Nelson's legacy reaches far beyond the boundaries of West Central. He belonged to all of us in Western Jamaica. He served during a defining period in our region's development when Montego Bay and Western Jamaica experienced unprecedented investment in roads, housing, water systems, sewage, sports facilities, schools, community infrastructure, the glory days which have left us behind. Those investments helped shape the Montego Bay we know today.
I wish to give words of tribute to a distinguished son of Jamaica, a former Member of Parliament for West Central St. James, Mr. Arthur Nelson, whose passing marks the end of a life defined by integrity, humility, and devoted public service. Arthur Nelson belonged to a generation of public servants who understood that elected office was not a privilege to be enjoyed, but a responsibility to be faithfully discharged.
Dolphin Cove has been sold to a new majority shareholder. Denise Williams has the details, plus more news on the financial market in the Business Report.
Welcome to today's Business Report. I'm Denise Williams, bringing you the developments shaping markets, capital access, and business decision-making across Jamaica and the region. Let's get into the stories that matter. In a disclosure to the Jamaica Stock Exchange, Dolphin Cove has announced that its majority shareholder has agreed to sell its stake in the company. The company said World of Dolphins Incorporated has entered into a share purchase agreement to sell its 313.9 million shares, representing approximately 80% of Dolphin Cove, to Global Attractions, a company incorporated in St. Lucia. Dolphin Cove says once the acquisition is completed, the new owner will be required to comply with Jamaica Stock Exchange rules and securities regulations governing changes of control. Under the takeover rules, Global Attractions will be required to make a mandatory offer to purchase the shares held by the company's remaining shareholders within 30 days of acquiring control. PriceSmart Jamaica is preparing to open 2 new clubs, one in Montego Bay and another on South Camp Road in Kingston. The company is also planning a new distribution center in Jamaica during the 2026 financial year as part of its efforts to strengthen its regional logistics network. For the quarter ending May 31, PriceSmart Global Operations recorded total revenues of US $1.48 billion, representing growth of 12.5% compared with the same period last year. Net merchandise sales also increased 12.5% to US $1.45 billion, while sales at clubs open for more than 13 and a half months rose 10.7%. For the first 9 months of the financial year, PriceSmart Global Operations reported revenues of US $4.36 billion, an increase of 10.7%, with net income totaling $128.9 million US dollars. For the trading period of July 13, 2026, the most actively traded securities were JMMB Group Limited 9.5% with 18,512,910 units representing 33.01% of market sales activities. Trans-Jamaica Highway Limited with 13,317,334 units representing 23.74% of market sales activities. Deramon Trading Company Limited with 6,486,210 units representing 11.56% of market sales activities. Investor activity remained concentrated in transportation, finance, and distribution plays, signaling continued interest in dividend-producing and strategic assets. Turning to the foreign exchange market, based on Bank of Jamaica data, to July 14, 2026, Forex traders recorded significant activity with strong demand across major currencies. For the US dollar, trading margins reflected steady liquidity, with the US selling at $159.14 and buying at $157.72. For the Canadian dollar, moderate gains supported by $1.40 transaction spreads. The Canadian dollar sold for $113.52 and was bought for $112.12. For the British pound, continued volatility offered short-term trading opportunities of $8.70 in profits for the banks. The British pound sold for $215.87 and was bought for $207.17. These movements underscore the importance of cash flow timing and currency awareness for businesses managing import costs, debt servicing, or overseas exposure. For our credit report tip of the day, the cheapest loan isn't always the best, and the most expensive loan can cost you more than interest. Every lending product leaves a footprint on your credit profile. A high-interest credit card can keep balances high. A costly personal loan can stretch your cash flow, and repeated reliance on expensive microfinance loans may make it harder to maintain a strong repayment record. Over time, these borrowing patterns can influence your credit score. The lesson isn't to avoid credit, it's to choose it strategically. Before signing any loan agreement, don't ask, can I afford the monthly payments? Ask, will this loan structure strengthen or weaken my financial future? Smart borrowing today creates more opportunities tomorrow. In our Funded and Focused feature, artificial intelligence is transforming how entrepreneurs access capital. Lenders are using AI to assess credit risk and financial health. Investors, before they invest in your company, are leveraging it to accelerate due diligence, and grant providers are relying on it to screen applications and identify the strongest proposals. In many cases, AI is influencing funding decisions before a human reviewer gets involved. For entrepreneurs, the message is clear. Preparation matters more than ever. Accurate financial records, a clear business strategy, and strong supporting documentation can make the difference between being shortlisted or overlooked. AI is changing the funding process, but it also gives entrepreneurs powerful tools to build stronger, more competitive funding applications. And that's today's business report. I'm Denise Williams, bringing clarity to capital, markets, and strategy. Until next time, stay informed, stay intentional, and keep building forward. See you soon.
In regional news, Barbados' Prime Minister Mia Mottley is urging hotels to source more of their products and services from local businesses and encourage their guests to do the same. She made the call while speaking at the official opening of the Royalton Hotel and Resort.
Nestled along the sun-kissed Platinum Coast is Royalton Vessants Barbados, which recently opened its doors to guests. It is one of several international hotel brands coming on stream to offer a range of accommodations and experiences for travelers. But as these accommodations open their doors, Prime Minister Mia Amor-Motley is calling for them to purchase more from local businesses.
This is what we have done and started to do in a more decisive way with the cruise industry, because Barbados must not just be the place upon which home porting is done and people get on the ships and leave, but Barbados must be the place where a large part of the procurement, as far as we can deliver to standard, is done.
Prime Minister Motley is imploring the management of hotels to let local businesses know what they need and what are the required standards.
And that does mean ensuring that people know when they need things so that they too can plan, because their ecosystem also has a planning horizon and a delivery horizon. So that this matter of synergies between tourism and the rest of our economy is fundamental in the resetting of what I've come to call Tourism 3.0.
She says she is confident that upcoming consultations Minister of Tourism and International Transport, Ian Goodinegil, will be leading with stakeholders in the industry will assist in improving visitor experience.
But if people leave here with a clear appreciation and love of all that they have seen and experienced, but more so, having left additional funds on the ground, either directly because of purchases or activities that relate to tourism attractions, or by reason of their presence here because the purchasing practices of the hotel is such that it maximizes local purchase where possible, then we will have had a full circle, and Tourism 3.0 then begins to take shape in a way that it does not reflect the early days of exploitative extraction, which for many tourism was initially.
PM Motley is commending Royalton Vessants management for following government's requirements during the construction process as well as in other areas.
And you have shown that it is entirely possible to be able to take that old product and to repurpose it.
Chief Development Officer for Royalton International, Daniel Diaz, says over 90% of the resort staff members are from Barbados. He also notes that the hotel is the first of the Royalton Vessants collection, which will be followed by one in Cancun and two others in the region.
We have now around 25,000 guest nights already on the books for the next month, which is a phenomenal accomplishment. And we have been promoting not just Royalton Vessants, but Barbados as a destination. And with the efforts of our digital marketing team, we have over 300,000 unique visitors that have been getting into the Royalton Vessants Barbados webpage. So we are working hard, not just to the success of this property, but to the success of this beautiful island.
Royalton Vessants Barbados officially opened its doors on June 1st. Onesta Henry, CBC News.
Still in Barbados, the country is moving a step closer to establishing a modern organ donation and transplant system. Government on Tuesday debated the Human Tissue Transplant Bill 2026 in the House of Assembly. This is a legislation that will create a legal framework for organ donation while offering renewed hope to patients awaiting life-saving transplants. Speaking in the lower house, Minister of Health and Wellness, Senator Lisa Cummins, said that while the bill was being debated, a live kidney transplant was taking place at the Queen Elizabeth Hospital.
And the transplant team that was with us in the other place could not be here today because they are in surgery, saving a life. We have found that the number of persons suffering from disease, kidney disease included, are highest among those persons who have chronic, uncontrolled, non-communicable diseases. So we want people to know what their numbers are. We want people to know what their medical history is. And we want people to be able to manage their own personal health so that they can make better choices.
In the year 2006, Mr. Speaker, we had 185 patients that were receiving dialysis treatment. 20 years ago, 185 patients were receiving dialysis. 20 years hence, we now have close to 300 people who are receiving dialysis on a weekly basis. Mr. Speaker, that's 300 people who are connected to many hundreds more. Another reason why this bill is absolutely important, Mr. Speaker, is because the cost to sustain lives via dialysis is significantly greater than the cost to do an organ transplant, a kidney transplant in this case.
Prime Minister Kamla Persad-Bissessar has reaffirmed Trinidad and Tobago's commitment to strengthening relations with the United States following talks with a high-level U.S. delegation focused on expanding bilateral cooperation.
Deputy Assistant Secretary for Caribbean Affairs and Haiti, Barbara Feinstein, Charge d'Affaires, Philip Kern, and Chief Policy Officer of the U.S. International Development Finance Corporation, Caroline Vick. Discussions focused on deepening bilateral cooperation and advancing shared priorities as both countries reaffirmed their long-standing partnership. The government says the engagement reflects its commitment to building strong international relationships that drive investment, support economic growth, and create opportunities for the people of Trinidad and Tobago. Also attending the meeting were Foreign and CARICOM Affairs Minister Sean Sobers, Attorney General John Jeremy, Finance Minister Devindranath Tanku, Energy Minister Dr. Rudal Munilal, Works and Infrastructure Minister Jerlene John, and Public Administration and Artificial Intelligence Minister Dominic Smith.
In sports, we go to athletics. Tina Clayton, Rochelle Clayton, and Rajindra Campbell were the best-placed Jamaicans after finishing second in their respective events at the Memorial Hungarian Athletics Grand Prix on Tuesday. St. Lucia's Julian Alfred stole the show in the 100 meters race to win a season's best 10.87 seconds. Clayton ended second in 10.97 and Brianna Liston closed out the top three in 11.01 seconds. The other Jamaicans in the event, Elaine Thompson-Hera and Janelle Smith, finished fourth in 11.04 and sixth in 11.12 seconds, respectively. Rochelle Clayton continued her good form this season in the women's 400 meters hurdles, with a second-place finish at 53.34 seconds. She was beaten by American Jasmine Jones. Jamaica's other runner-up finish came in the men's shot put, where the consistent Rajindra Campbell produced a throw of 21.52 meters. Italy's Leonardo Fabri won with 22.04 meters. In football, Spain upset tournament favorites France 2-0 on Tuesday to book their place in the 2026 FIFA World Cup final, ending France's bid for a third world title. Spain, who won their only World Cup title in 2010, will now face either Argentina or England in Sunday's final in New Jersey. Attention now turns to the second semi-final on July 15, when defending champions Argentina face England in what promises to be another blockbuster encounter. Argentina will be aiming to keep their title defense on track, while England are seeking a first appearance in the World Cup final since 1966. The winner will advance to Sunday's final against Spain, while the losing side will meet France in the third-place playoff. And that's the news on PBCJ. Thank you so much for watching.